Part 1. Hey, what's up everyone? Before we get into today's video, let me ask you something. Are you tired of spending money on gardening tools that break after one season? Or maybe you bought something expensive thinking it would change your garden game, but it just sits in your shed, collecting dust. Yeah, I've been there too. I used to walk into the garden center and get totally overwhelmed by all the options. There's like a million different tools, and everyone says theirs is the best. The salespeople are telling you that you need this deluxe kit, or that premium set, and before you know it, you've spent $300 on stuff you don't actually need. Today, I'm sharing the 5 tools that actually changed everything for me, as an organic gardener. These aren't fancy or expensive, but trust me, once you start using them, you'll wonder how you ever gardened without them. I've been gardening organically for about 7 years now, and I've tried pretty much every tool out there. Some were amazing, most were just okay, and some were honestly a complete waste of money. What I'm showing you today are the tools that I reach for constantly, the ones that make my life easier, my garden healthier, and my produce more abundant. So let's jump right in. Tool number 1 is the broad fork. Now, I know what you're thinking. It looks like some medieval torture device, right? But hear me out. This thing is absolutely incredible for your soil health. So basically, a broad fork is this tool with long tines, usually about 12 inches long, and you push it into the soil and rock it back and forth. That's it. Super simple. But here's why it's amazing. When you use a regular tiller or even a spade to turn your soil, you're actually destroying the soil structure. You're killing beneficial microorganisms, you're disrupting the mycorrhizal networks, and you're basically undoing all the hard work that nature has been doing in your soil. Think about it like this. Your soil is a living ecosystem. There are billions of tiny creatures and fungi working together to create healthy, nutrient-rich dirt. When you flip the soil upside down with a tiller, you're taking organisms that live near the surface and burying them deep where they can't survive. And you're taking deep-dwelling organisms and exposing them to sunlight and air that kills them. It's chaos. The broad fork is different. It loosens the soil without flipping it over. You're aerating everything, improving drainage, and making it easier for roots to penetrate deep into the ground, all while keeping those beneficial organisms alive and happy. I started using a broad fork 3 years ago, and the difference in my garden is night and day. My plants have deeper root systems, they're more drought resistant, and honestly, my vegetables just taste better. You can find a decent broad fork for around $60 to $80. Some people think that's expensive, but consider this. I bought mine 4 years ago and it still works perfectly. No maintenance, no gas, no broken parts. Just solid steel doing its job. And the workout you get? Amazing. Who needs a gym membership when you're broad forking your garden beds? Now let's talk about tool number 2, and this one might surprise you because it's so simple. It's a soil knife. Some people call it a hori-hori knife. This Japanese tool has been around for centuries, and there's a reason for that. It works. A soil knife is basically a 6 to 7 inch blade that's serrated on one side and sharp on the other. It usually has measurement markings on it too. I use mine literally every single day in the garden. You can dig planting holes with it, you can cut through roots, you can divide perennials, you can harvest vegetables, you can even open bags of soil or cut twine. It's like the Swiss Army knife of gardening. Before I got my soil knife, I was constantly running back and forth to my shed grabbing different tools. Need to transplant something? Grab the trowel. Need to cut some twine? Where are the scissors? Need to divide that overgrown oregano? Better get the spade. It was exhausting. Now I just keep my soil knife in my back pocket and I'm ready for whatever comes up. The serrated edge is perfect for sawing through tough roots when you're dividing plants or removing stubborn weeds. The sharp edge is great for precise cuts and making clean planting holes. And those measurement markings, super helpful when you're planting bulbs or seeds at the right depth. You don't have to guess anymore. A good soil knife will cost you between $20 and $40 and it'll last you forever if you take care of it. Just wipe it down after use. And maybe sharpen it once a year. That's it. Part 2. Alright, moving on to tool number 3. This is one that a lot of people overlook, but I'm telling you, it's essential. A stirrup hoe, also called a scuffle hoe or a loop hoe. This tool has changed my relationship with weeding. I used to hate weeding. Like, absolutely despise it. I would put it off until my garden looked like a jungle, and then I'd spend hours bent over, pulling weeds by hand, and my back would be killing me for days. Seriously, there were times when I considered just letting the weeds win and turning my garden into a wildflower meadow. That's how much I hated it. The stirrup hoe changed all of that. Here's how it works. The blade is shaped like a stirrup on a saddle, basically a loop of metal that's sharpened on both edges. You push it forward through the soil just below the surface, and then you pull it back. Both motions cut the weeds right at the root level. You're standing upright the whole time. No bending, no kneeling, no back pain. The key is to use it when weeds are small, like tiny, when they're just sprouting. At that stage, you're basically skimming the surface of the soil and slicing through hundreds of baby weeds in minutes. It's oddly satisfying, actually. I find it almost meditative now. You get into this rhythm, push and pull, and you watch these little weeds just disappear. Now I weed my garden twice a week with my stirrup hoe, and it takes me maybe 15 minutes. The weeds never get big enough to be a real problem. Compare that to the old days when I'd spend entire weekends trying to reclaim my garden from the weeds that had taken over. The stirrup hoe keeps me on top of things. Another bonus? You're not disturbing the soil very much. Remember what I said about the broad fork and preserving soil structure. Same principle here. You're working in the top inch or two of soil, cutting weeds off at their roots, but you're not flipping everything over and bringing up new weed seeds from deeper down. Because here's something a lot of people don't know. Your soil has what's called a seed bank. There are literally thousands of weed seeds buried in your garden soil at different depths. When you dig deep and flip the soil, you're bringing dormant seeds up to the surface where they get light and moisture, and suddenly, they germinate. Then you've got a whole new crop of weeds to deal with. The stirrup hoe avoids this problem completely. You're only working the surface, so those deep buried seeds stay buried and dormant. You can grab a stirrup hoe for about 30 to 50 bucks. Some are fancier than others, but honestly, a basic one works great. Just make sure the blade is sharp. Some come a little dull from the factory, so you might need to sharpen it before first use. After that, maybe once a season, give it a quick sharpen, and you're good to go. I use a simple file to sharpen mine. Takes about 5 minutes. Also, pay attention to the handle length. You want one that's tall enough that you're not hunching over while you use it. I'm about 5'9", and I use a stirrup hoe with a 5-foot handle. It's perfect for me. If you're taller or shorter, adjust accordingly. Tool number 4 is something I wish I had discovered years earlier. A watering wand with a shut-off valve. I know it sounds boring. But stay with me. This tool has saved me so much time and so much water. Before I got a watering wand, I was using just a regular hose with a spray nozzle. And you know what happened? I'd be watering my tomatoes, and then I'd need to move to the next bed, and I'd have to walk all the way back to the spigot to turn the water off. Or I'd leave it running and waste water while I moved around. Or I'd try to crimp the hose with my hand, and it would spray everywhere. It was a mess. A watering wand is usually about 2 to 3 feet long, and it has a gentle shower head on the end. The shut-off valve is right on the handle where your thumb goes, so you can turn the water on and off instantly without going back to the spigot. Game changer. Here's why it's especially great for organic gardening. That gentle shower head delivers water softly, like rain. You're not blasting your plants with a hard stream that can damage delicate seedlings or erode your soil. You're giving them a nice, gentle soaking. Also, because the wand is long, you can get the water right to the base of the plants without bending over or getting the foliage wet. Wet foliage leads to fungal diseases, especially on things like tomatoes, squash, and cucumbers. With a watering wand, you're watering the soil, not the leaves, which keeps your plants healthier. The shut-off valve means you're not wasting water between beds or when you need to move the hose. You just click it off, move to where you need to be, and click it back on. So much more efficient. Plus, the gentle flow means you're less likely to wash away your mulch or create puddles that lead to compacted soil. Part 3. You can get a decent watering wand for around $20 to $40. Look for one with a metal construction rather than plastic. The plastic ones tend to crack and leak after a season or two. A metal one will last you for years. Some people might say, why not just use a watering can? And look, I love watering cans for small tasks, but if you have anything more than a few pots to water, a watering wand connected to your hose is so much faster and easier. You're not constantly refilling and carrying heavy cans back and forth. Trust me, your back will thank you. Another thing I really appreciate about the watering wand is how much control you have. With a regular spray nozzle, it's kind of all or nothing. You've got high pressure or low pressure, but it's still a focused stream. The watering wand spreads the water out over a wider area with that showerhead design, so you're actually watering more efficiently. The water soaks in, instead of running off, and you can reach into tight spaces without trampling your plants. Like, I have some raised beds that are about 4 feet wide, and I can stand on one side and easily reach plants on the far side, without having to walk around, or step into the bed. That means less soil compaction, which is huge for root health. I also use my watering wand for watering seedlings in trays. Those little guys are so delicate, and they need consistent moisture but not too much force. The gentle shower from the wand is absolutely perfect. It keeps the soil moist without washing away seeds or knocking over tiny seedlings. Before I had the wand, I'd try to use a watering can with a rose attachment, but it was awkward and heavy when full. Now I just use the wand, and it's so much easier. One more tip about watering wands. Look for one with multiple spray patterns if you can find it. Mine has a shower setting that I use most of the time, but it also has a jet setting for cleaning pots or washing mud off tools, and a mist setting that's great for propagating cuttings or watering really delicate plants. Having those options built into one tool is super convenient. Now we're getting to tool number 5, and this might be the most important one on the list: compost aerator tool, also called a compost crank or compost turner. If you're serious about organic gardening, you need to be making your own compost. It's black gold for your garden, free fertilizer, amazing for soil health, and it reduces waste. But here's the thing, compost needs air to break down properly. If you just pile up your kitchen scraps and leaves and ignore it, you're going to get a smelly anaerobic mess that takes forever to break down. You need to turn your compost regularly to introduce oxygen. That's where the compost aerator comes in. It's basically a rod with wings or paddles that fold up when you push it into the compost and then open up when you pull it back out. You stick it into your compost pile, twist it a bit, and pull it out. The wings grab and lift the material, mixing everything up and introducing air pockets throughout the pile. Before I got one of these, I was turning my compost with a pitchfork, and let me tell you, that is a workout. You have to basically empty the whole pile, mix it up, and put it back. It's heavy. It's time-consuming, and in the summer heat, it's brutal. With a compost aerator, I can aerate my entire compost bin in about 5 minutes. No heavy lifting, no emptying and refilling. Just poke, twist, pull. Poke, twist, pull. Done. The result? My compost breaks down so much faster. What used to take 6 months now takes maybe 3. I have a constant supply of finished compost for my garden beds, and because I'm aerating regularly, there's no smell. None. Even when I add things like melon rinds or coffee grounds, as long as I give it a quick aerate, everything stays fresh smelling and breaks down quickly. A compost aerator will run you about $30 to $50. Some are fancier than others with different wing designs, but they all do basically the same job. Look for one that's sturdy. You're going to be pushing it into dense material, so you want something that won't bend or break. The one I have is galvanized steel, and it's held up perfectly for years. One tip, if your compost is really dry, it won't break down well either. You want it to be about as moist as a wrung-out sponge. So, sometimes after I aerate, I'll give it a quick spray with the hose. The holes I've just made with the aerator let the water penetrate deep into the pile. Perfect. Part 4. So there you have it. 5 tools that have genuinely transformed my organic gardening experience. The broad fork for healthy soil structure, the soil knife for everyday versatility, the stirrup hoe for easy weeding, the watering wand for efficient watering, and the compost aerator for perfect compost every time. Now I want to address something. You might be thinking, that's like $200 worth of tools. And yeah, if you bought them all at once, it would be. But here's the thing. These tools last. I've had most of mine for 3 or 4 years with 0 issues. Compare that to cheap plastic tools that break every season, or gas-powered equipment that needs maintenance and repairs. In the long run, you're actually saving money. Plus, you don't have to buy them all at once. Start with one, maybe the soil knife because it's the most versatile and affordable. Use it for a season, then add the stirrup hoe, then the watering wand. Build your tool collection over time. Think about it this way. If you spend $50 on a tool that lasts 5 years, that's $10 a year. Compare that to buying a $15 plastic tool every single year that breaks. You're actually spending more money on the cheap stuff in the long run, and you're contributing to more waste. Quality tools are an investment in your garden and in the environment. Another thing to consider is borrowing or buying used. Check Facebook Marketplace or local garage sales. A lot of people buy gardening tools, use them once, and then sell them. You can find great deals on barely used equipment. I actually found my broad fork at a yard sale for 30 bucks. The person who owned it had bought it, used it one time, decided gardening wasn't for them, and there it was. Best $30 I ever spent. Or start a tool library in your neighborhood. Get together with a few gardening friends and share tools. Not everyone needs their own broad fork if you can borrow one from a neighbor when you need it. Maybe you have a broad fork, your neighbor has a compost aerator, and another friend has a soil sifter. You all share, and everybody wins. The point is, these 5 tools are worth having access to one way or another. They make organic gardening easier, more enjoyable, and more productive. Before I started using these tools, gardening felt like a chore sometimes. It was hard work, and I was constantly frustrated. Why are these weeds taking over? Why is my soil so hard? Why does my compost smell bad? Why am I always sore after working in the garden? These tools solved all of those problems. Now gardening is actually relaxing. It's my favorite part of the day. I go out in the morning with my coffee, soil knife in my pocket, stirrup hoe in hand, and I just enjoy being in the garden. Weeding is quick and easy. Planting is a breeze. Watering is efficient, and I have an endless supply of rich compost to feed my plants. My garden has never been more productive. I'm harvesting more vegetables than ever before. My plants are healthier. I have fewer pest problems because healthy plants can defend themselves better. And I'm not using any synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, or chemicals, just good soil, good compost, and good tools. That's the organic way. That's how nature intended it. And honestly, that's how gardening should feel. Not like a battle against nature, but like you're working with nature to create something beautiful and productive. So if you found this video helpful, go ahead and hit that like button, it really helps the channel out. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications because I post new gardening videos every week. I've got videos on composting, soil health, pest management, seasonal planting guides, all kinds of stuff. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these tools you're most excited to try. Or if you have a favorite tool that I didn't mention, I'd love to hear about it. Maybe I'll make a part 2 video. The gardening community is awesome, and I love learning from you guys as much as I hope you learn from me. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Get out there, get your hands dirty, and happy gardening. I'll see you in the next video.